There have only been a few times in my life where I've been wrong and I've been happy about it. This is one of those times.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I am Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, we're not doing a funeral live stream yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
They're still alive. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We surpassed 7,700 subscribers today. Unbelievable. You guys have been great. So thank you for that. Like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. So obviously this show is going to be about the game. It's going to be mostly about the game. We'll preview tomorrow night's game, but hallelujah. Put the brooms away. Series isn't over yet. They showed some life, and from unlikely sources, which makes me really happy.
Gutsy. That's the answer that I can give. Gutsy performance. Mm-hmm. Aaron Boone, I hope, was looking across the other dugout, because while Aaron Boone at points in this series, a lot of this series, gave Dave Roberts a masterclass on how to be an idiot manager, Dave Roberts returned the favor in Game 4. Because Dave Roberts, for whatever reason, and I thank him for it. I wish I would, if I could drive to the Bronx and know I would meet up with him, I'd thank him personally. Can't grasp why he waved the white flag in like the 6th inning of this game. You don't give away wins in the postseason.
Yeah.
It was a 2-run game, and he decided to just not use his high leverage guys.
Right.
I don't understand why you wouldn't keep the game close, especially with that potent of an offense. Why, that offense is always, when it's a 5-run game, they're still in it.
Right.
And he just decided to save his relievers for later on in the series when you have a chance to end the series tonight. I don't know why he did that. I still can't comprehend it. I don't think I'll ever comprehend it, but I'll be thankful for him for doing it.
Yes.
He let the whole game get away from him and didn't really care. That's fine. Anthony Volpe, obviously the MVP of this game, and a little bit of a key storyline that I think you'll agree with that kind of went a little unnoticed. Aaron Judge looked really good at the plate tonight.
He did. He looked a lot better at the plate.
So I don't want to win one more game and then I'll start talking comeback. I'm not doing that.
Sure.
I will say this though. The only chance they have of coming back is getting him on track.
Yep. Yeah, and if he does get on track, could be good.
He has to go nuts. Yeah. Like he has to have
like Freddie Freeman performance in the next 3 days.
No, Aaron Judge performance in June, July, August. That's
which is basically what Freddie Freeman's doing because he won't stop hitting home runs.
And we've seen Aaron Judge do that pretty much throughout this entire season.
Right.
So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility that he could do it.
Sure.
But even in that, I thought that last at bat to get the 11th run was massive.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a home run. It was a line drive down the line. But just to see the ball land in fair territory, to drive in a run, just to see it off your bat really well, those kind of at-bats mean a fortune for a guy like that. Just to see it land in fair territory. The 2 walk, the walk and the hit by pitch, but the walk especially early on where he stayed in that count. He stayed locked in. He spit on pitches out of the zone. Didn't give away a strikeout. He had a really, really nice game. The fly out too. Like he made contact every time he got out too. Wasn't striking out a lot tonight. He looked
that's when you know a guy is
better.
coming back from being off kilter because he was off kilter. Like there's something just not right with him. And when he's striking out too much and just not looking right at the plate, swinging at things that he normally doesn't swing at and he doesn't fall for, like that he, that maybe he did in the beginning of his career, but he kind of got out of that. And when he gets back into that kind of a funk, you're thinking, all right, something's really wrong here. But yeah, tonight was so much better from him.
Usually his funks start to end when he starts coming out of it. It's usually him walking. He usually starts having longer at bats, seeing better pitches, and then he starts getting the power involved. Yeah. The only chance again they have of coming back is him going crazy, which is, I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen it plenty of times actually. But overall, I mean, they had an excellent performance, and I want to say this too. If you guys hung on to the broadcast for like 5 minutes after the game ended, and you heard what the players had to say, usually I don't take a lot of credence from those interviews because they mean nothing. The guys, they're all scripted answers. They say the same thing. 2 answers, though, that you heard one from Austin Wells in the interview he had, another from the interview Glaber had. Both gave the same message. Not of, oh, great win, come out and do tomorrow. Both gave, we're deep in the mud right here. We know we just got to do it again tomorrow. And just keep at it. They both gave very, very, not just very right answers, both gave they knew what kind of situation the team is in right now. They know what they're up against. They're not freaking out, but they're ready for what they're up against. And if you get behind the back of Gerrit Cole and Gerrit Cole throws a gem, all hands on deck. I think you're in a good spot. We do have to discuss. I think we'll do it in segment 3 possibly. But Boone made comments on the future of Gerrit Cole and the rest of the series earlier today.
Oh yeah.
I think I need your opinion on those because I'm sure you have a nice one.
Yeah, maybe. They needed a game like this. They needed a breakout game like this. This is the first like blowout game of the series. You were kind of no, I mean in this series between the Dodgers and the Yankees, because the Dodgers have had blowout games in all their other series, but like for the World Series, people were kind of expecting more of this, and it was good to see them have that chance in the later innings to pile on, which they didn't get in last night's game. They could have, but they didn't. And I just think that this can really help them. And again, yes, it's one game at a time. Here's the thing. I'm going to equate this to something. How many years ago now? 17 years ago, I was on Weight Watchers. I had hit the heaviest weight I'd ever hit in my life, 207.8. Now I'm tall. I'm 5'9" and I have big shoulders and stuff, but that was too big for me. I started Weight Watchers, and instead of thinking in my head, I have to lose 60 pounds, I did it in smaller increments. That's what the Yankees have to do. You can't think we have to win the next 3. You have to think the next game. Don't even think ahead. Think just to what's right. Again, what's right in front of you. Slam the table. What's right in front of you. That's what you have to look at. And that's what they have to do. They can't. What did
you feel about Robert's bullpen decisions at the end of this game?
Thought it was interesting.
I just can't justify those moves because you're in the World Series, damn it. Like, it's a 2-run game. If the game got away from them early on, I have no problem with punting the game. If it gets away from the third inning, if it's 11-1 in the third inning, cool. Punt the game.
Sure, of course. Yes.
When it's a 2-run game late and you have that kind of offense, I don't understand punting the game and not using your high leverage guys. It doesn't make and I'm not saying that from my perspective of the Yankees because it's double fold. And I know that you're not a fan of this guy, but hear me out because Smoltz made a great opinion later on in this game where he said, not only are you waving the white flag and basically handing the Yankees a victory, you also allowed Boone to not bring Weaver or Canley in late. Boone was planning, which I thought was a stupid move we can get to too. He was planning on asking Luke Weaver to give him a 7-out save, which Luke has never done. And I thought was testy to say the least. Like that move because, I mean, he's A, never done that. And B, I mean, that's asking a lot to get with 2 runs of leeway to ask him to get 7 outs. That's asking a lot out of Luke Weaver, who's never done that before. That's a Mariano-esque request right there. That's not Luke Weaver's territory, but
no,
didn't have to. I didn't like that move. But here's the thing. If you're Dave Roberts and you see Boone doing that and you probably should think it's as dumb of a move as we think it is. Why would you not keep your high leverage guys in to keep it at a 2-run game? Because you got to think, if we have Luke Weaver on his 5th, 6th out of his appearance, he's got to be up there at 30, 40 pitches by now. There's your chance to get to him. You get Freeman back up, you can tie the game with one swing. I don't understand at that point just waving the white flag and giving the game up because, again, you not only allowed the Yankees to just take the win, you also allowed them to not use Weaver for extra pitches. You also allowed Weaver to be fresh for tomorrow because if they used Weaver for 40, 50 pitches to get the win tonight, he likely is not available tomorrow night.
Yeah, he threw 21.
Yeah, so he's readily available for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You could have made it so Weaver wasn't available tomorrow night. You already thought you were going to lose anyway. So you could have made it so Weaver's not available for tomorrow night. You could have made it so Weaver's going to throw more pitches so you guys see more of Weaver's pitches. And if the Yankees weren't going to use Weaver in the ninth, which I think they were going to, but let's say they weren't going to, they were going to have to go to Canely. You would have made them use Canely. Now Canely gets a day of rest. Weaver only uses 21 pitches. There's so many layers to why Dave Roberts made such a terrible move just punting this game when it's a 2-run game.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave Roberts. We appreciate that. We all appreciate it. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. Also, join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. No need for Fan Mail Friday yet. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to the games. And when we have Fan Mail Friday, you get top priority. We send out lineups, roster moves, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up next, let's discuss this game even more. We have to talk about Vulpi and Wells because the kids are all right. We're in the playoffs, obviously. It's the World Series, and it's really cool to attend a game. And I have many memories of going to World Series and playoff games at Old Yankee Stadium and New Yankee Stadium. And with Gametime, it's never been easier to get the best tickets for those playoff games. They have a new feature called Gametime Picks. It does all the hard work for you. So instead of searching through thousands of tickets, Gametime Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only the absolute best deals on great seats. And if that wasn't enough, they've got an all-in pricing feature. You just toggle on it, shows you the full price up front, no surprises at checkout, because sometimes that happens with other places. You also get seat views. So if you've never been to Yankee Stadium, you can use the panoramic, or you can see the panoramic view from your seat and figure out exactly where you want to sit. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB, that's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So we have to talk about the performance of Anthony Volpe because there was a stat on the screen. He was the first person in the World Series. Was it 4+ RBIs and two stolen bases?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the stat, which I love it. Like, thank you for making this be your breakout game in the World Series, Anthony Volpe. Nice job all around. Base running, everything. Just, well, except for that one mistake.
Yeah,
and he made up for it.
And it could have been crucial, but he did definitely make up for it. The key to knowing that Volpe played such a good game is how filthy his uniform was at the end of this game.
Yeah.
Covered in dirt, like a true old school Yankee, especially with the turtleneck on. Loved it. He had a career-defining game. Honestly, they come back and win the series, you're going to think of it you know what this kind of game is, and it made me think of it because of the post game. This is David Ortiz game 4, the walk-off in that 04 series. That's what it is. It's that kind of defining moment where you're like, oh, okay, there's some magic here. Because hitting the grand slam right there as a young player, as a young shortstop, Derek Jeter in the building, having a moment like that, not everyone gets moments like that. And I think Austin Wells, too, being moved down in the order, and somehow he was good to play today, but not yesterday, whatever. Having him with the big should have been triple double in the early in the game, and then the home run, which was that ball so high in the zone of his eyes, and took it to the second deck.
Yeah.
Great performance out of him. And I loved what he said in his post game too, where they asked him, what was the strategy coming into this game down 3-0? And Wells said, well, we're down 3-0, so F it. That's what he said. Just swing away. Who cares? Right. What's the worst that can happen? We can lose. Now, I loved that kind of response out of him. And that's the attitude the Yankees have to have. Honestly, they have to have that attitude. Is we're down 3-0. What do you have to lose?
Right.
Nothing. Go out there, swing, get your pitches, do some damage. They scored 11 runs in this game. There's got to be more left in the tank, clearly. Clearly, they can hit this team.
And the bottom of the order contributed bigly, as certain people like to say, because even Verdugo with that at bat was great. I mean, Volpe.
I still can't stand him, but yes.
No, but, and of course he hit it to where he thought he was going to hit it, but thank goodness for Volpe's speed. That didn't matter. And, but no, that was a pretty good, I'll give him props.
It was a great at bat. It was a great at bat. It was a 12 pitch at bat. Great at bat, but ground out to the second baseman is the most Alex Verdugo on brand thing.
I mean,
it's every at bat. You're just saying it's literally every at bat.
It's every time. It's every time. It's unbelievable. Clay Holmes
look good. Look really good. Not just Clay Holmes. The whole bullpen looked amazing.
Like it's just Mark Leiter Jr. Like
I can't get over the Mark Leiter Jr. resurgence. He's on the playoff roster by accident.
Maybe he needed maybe he needed that time off, and maybe that helped him.
Or he needed the ego check. He needed the embarrassment of not making the playoff roster. Like any of those things. I mean, professional athletes work really well with a chip on their shoulder. They do. And maybe that ego check was what Mark Leiter Jr. needed to be able to say, hey, get your butt in gear, or you're not going to be on a major league team soon. Because it worked. You saw it too. He had the strikeout and he turned around and immediately that same thing we've been saying all summer since they traded for him. That stoic, I don't care look after he struck someone out. You need that in the postseason. You need that kind of attitude. You need that kind of that not caringness to you. You really need that. And he has it. But again, it's one game at a time. It's all hands on deck. It's anything you can possibly get out of this team. You got to squeeze every bit out of it you could possibly get. It's happened before, only once, but it's happened before. The first time, believe it or not, two notes I want to bring up to you that you'll find fascinating. The first time since 1970, I believe, or 74, that a team was down 3-0 in a World Series and even won Game 4. So you don't even see the team win that game ever.
Well, I was going to say something about that. Yeah.
There have been 34 times in baseball history that the World Series has been at a 3-0 deficit. This is the fourth time ever that the team has won the fourth game. They've all been sweeps. So that alone, it's just crazy to think about. Baseball is a very mental sport, and I think once you go down 3-0, the fact that no one's ever come back from that, a lot of teams probably just toss it, give it a toss
in the World Series.
Yeah, they just
But I will say, I have to give them kudos because Freeman hits that home run, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, again!" They're down before the pitcher even comes again. Like this is happening again, and they could have just rolled over and been like, all right, it's just not our year. Let's just, pack it in. And they didn't. And thank God they didn't. And we got a game like this out of them. Kudos to the bottom of the order. Kudos to Judge for looking better. The bullpen has been just unbelievable. Like it's so funny how much of a question mark the bullpen was for most of the season. And they were like cobbling things together and trying to figure out roles for people. And these guys that you never expected in a million years are really stepping up right now. I mean, Tim Hill, Luke Weaver even. I mean, who the heck expected this from Luke Weaver 2 months ago?
He was throwing gas coming in, too. He was throwing like 98, 99 when he came in, too. He looked really good. Austin Wells, I couldn't believe this stat was true, but I mean, this is what they put up on the broadcast. Youngest Yankee catcher to ever homer in a World Series game. Wow. I found that 25 years old. You would have thought Posada or even Yogi, but the amount of World Series games Yogi played in, you would have thought he would have homered in a World Series game at a younger age. Youngest Yankee catcher to ever homer in a World Series game, and also the first Yankees World Series Grand Slam since what year? 98.
Oh, yeah, Tino. I was thinking,
98 game one for Tino, but wild that it's been that long. They didn't have a Grand Slam in the World Series since.
Yeah. Been a few 3-run homers.
Yeah.
But no grand slams. Yeah.
So
Now that
a,
I'm thinking
a
about it,
lot
like,
of historical impacts in this game. Just get it back to LA. Honestly, just get it back to LA. I
yeah.
think in the next segment we'll discuss the pitching matchups.
Yeah. Yeah. Just make it a respectable series. Again, I'm just so angry that they didn't win on Friday because this is a completely different series. If they win on Friday, lose the middle 2,
2-2.
win today, it's 2-2. And
If
it's
you
just like,
That's what's so frustrating because they could easily lose tomorrow night and whatever. But
right.
what's so frustrating is this series could be 2-2 going into a Gerrit Cole start in game 5 in the Bronx. Very, very, very well should be. That's what's so frustrating. But hey, you're still getting a Gerrit Cole start. You can make it 3-2 as if Gerrit Cole would
Hopefully.
lose that game 5. So,
Hopefully.
yeah, just be ready to play. Same
Yeah.
attitude as you had today.
Yeah. Like, be ready to hit, be ready to play, and all hands on deck if something goes wrong with Cole. Because you never know. You never know. It's not a guarantee, but it's amazing. It's amazing that we're here. I'm so glad this isn't a funereal live stream and that we get to at least talk about a win. So yeah, let's discuss game 5. We're going to discuss game 5.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. And if you want to play PrizePicks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley, you can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries in some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I get my money in as quickly as 15 minutes. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's one word, code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. And remember, guys, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees.
I got it.
Stacey, game 5, last game of the season in the Bronx for sure, will be Gerrit Cole versus Jack Flaherty, which means everything is lined up, for if there is a potential game 7, the Dodgers will go bullpen game in game 7, which is wild, or Walker Buehler, which is wild to think about that they could possibly do that. But there's a good chance they do. Yankees are in a good spot only because Jack Flaherty, if you remember, in game 1 against the Mets in the NLCS, dominated the Mets. And then in the second time the Mets saw him at Citi Field, the Mets clobbered him.
Yeah.
Jack Flaherty has a very, very, very bad track record when teams see him a second time throughout history. The Yankees are seeing a Jack Flaherty for a second time in less than a week, which is very helpful to their cause, I think. Also, Jack Flaherty's playoff record on the road is atrocious. Back to St. Louis and with the Dodgers. The guy again got lit up in Citi Field. Not a good track record on the road. He's going on the road for this game too in a hostile environment. So 2 really good points of note. Gerrit Cole, has Gerrit Cole pitched a lot of home playoff games for the Yankees? I don't think he has. I don't recall a lot of home playoff games that he's thrown for the Yankees. I feel like most of them have been on the road. Regardless.
It feels like most of them have been on the road.
Yeah. Regardless if I can bring back in do or die big time games for pitching at Yankee Stadium, Gerrit Cole has a good track record of doing that, especially in game 5s at Yankee Stadium. Not in a Yankee uniform, though, when he was with the Houston Astros. Remember, if you go back to that game 5, he absolutely dominated the Yankees going back to Houston. That was a big start as well for Gerrit Cole. A lot of things that kind of lean in the right direction. Gerrit Cole also has a really good track record in do or die games. And Gerrit Cole was awesome in game 1. And I know that they lost that game, But Gerrit Cole was electric. He went into the 7th inning. He gave up 1 run. He was pulling a 1-hitter into the 6th. He was really good. They're going to need that out of him. I think length for Gerrit Cole is really key. And make them shake a little bit. Make Flaherty feel it with the crowd. And remind him that he's not good on the road, right? Put runners on base. Make them use their bullpen, right? Make them use their bullpen. You have to get to them early. You have to spook them a little bit. And with all of social media nowadays and all the talking that goes on, and the Yankees were asked a lot about a potential 3-0 comeback in the postgame. I'm sure the Dodgers fielded a lot of those questions too. Oh, no team's ever blown a 3-0 lead in the World Series. Make them think about it. And I'm sure they won't be thinking about it as you get into the game. But if you score a run early in this game, Glaber pops one early, Judge pops one early, then it gets in their heads a little bit. Then it gets in their heads, we gotta head back to LA and it's not for a parade yet. Then it gets into their head a little bit. You want to start to be able to do that. That will be absolutely key for them. Your takes on the game, and then I want to get into what Boone said earlier today.
My takes on what they need to do in Game 5?
Yeah.
We need a clean first inning, stop Freddie Freeman from hitting home runs, and score first and set the tone that way.
If there's no one on base, would you walk Freddie in the first inning and face Teoscar, who hasn't been good all series?
I don't know.
I got to be honest. Like Mookie's hit, but Teoscar hasn't hit, and Ohtani has really not hit at all. Ohtani's been at nothing.
Right.
I don't hate the idea of if the bases are open. If there's runners on base, absolutely not.
If
there's a base open, I don't hate the idea of don't let him beat you.
Yeah. I don't know. I was gonna say Cole doesn't seem like the type of guy to do that, but then again,
he did it this year. He was told to.
We witnessed it. We witnessed it.
I don't know if this manager would do it. I don't think he has the guts to do it, but
right.
I would consider it. I would. I don't think it's a terrible idea.
But I think that's the key. You get out of the top of the first unscathed. Don't let them score first. You score first. Get to Flaherty early. Get to the bullpen early. And just grind out at bats against all of those guys. Like, just have a better approach like they did in Game 4. And one game at a time.
Now, I want to say this. Aaron Boone was asked if the series got to a Game 7, is there potential that Gerrit Cole would start that game? And is there potential that Gerrit Cole could come out of the bullpen in any of these games? And according to reports, now this wasn't printed yet, or it wasn't caught on camera. It was more from what I've heard from people inside the Yankee clubhouse earlier today. That question was brought to Gerrit Cole of, because Aaron Boone responded to that with, no, Cole will not be used he will not start Game 7, and he will not be brought out of the bullpen. Mm-hmm. That question from a buddy of mine was asked to Gerrit Cole, and Gerrit Cole kind of looked at him like, we'll see. I can't imagine if this series got to 7 that you wouldn't start Cole on short rest. And I know it would be 2 days rest. You'd have to. I mean, Stacey, are you going to go into Game 7? Would you rather lose with Gerrit Cole on 2 days rest or Clark Schmidt on 3 days rest?
Right.
I mean, I can't sit here. That's who it would be, right? No, would it be Clark Schmidt in Game 7? And I understand Rodon not being available. I get that. Like, he wouldn't be available on 1 day rest. No, of course not. On no days rest, actually. He's not Randy Johnson. But on 2 days rest, really a third day, if you count the time it takes to get in between starts. Also, Cole could be flying. He'd be flying out there with the team. I don't know how you can't justify Cole. I mean, out of the bullpen to me sounds crazy if you wouldn't use him out of the bullpen. To him not to be available, if you got to a Game 7, all hands have to be on deck at that point. But to not consider I'd rather lose with Gerrit Cole on short rest than Clark Schmidt on the road. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, but let's not even think about a Game 7. We have to think about Game 5.
No, but I'm saying in any position, because if you win Game 5 at home, couldn't all hands be on deck for the 2 games in LA?
Well, you would think so. Yeah.
But and again, that goes back to my point too. You're talking down 3-0 before Game 4 at the podium. You're asked that question. Why answer it if you're Aaron Boone? Why give that answer up? Why say no, Cole? This is Cole's last appearance in the series. Why do that? What's the advantage you gain out of doing that?
Yeah. Unless he wants to surprise people.
That's what I would do. That's got to be the motive, right?
Here comes Gerrit Cole out of the bullpen.
I can't imagine not pitching Gerrit Cole at that point. I couldn't. I'm sorry. Like he's your ace. He's the guy you go down with. I can't start Clark Schmidt in a Game 7 of the World Series. I can't.
Yeah.
I'd rather lose with Gerrit Cole on short rest. What I would do is call Davey Garcia up and start him, and then re-sign Jay Happ off the free agent market, and then bring in Jay Happ after the second inning. That's what I would do.
Ugh, that still angers me all these years later.
Let's
look at some comments while we're here before we end the game. How are we all feeling tonight, everyone? Feeling a little better. At least they didn't have the brooms out. They can stick those brooms where the sun don't shine because they don't need them anymore. But yeah.
I'd agree with Joker's here's comment. All of Freeman's great hits in this game have come early.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the walk-off, he's really has done all of his damage in the first inning early on in the game.
Right.
I don't hate the idea. Again, I don't hate the idea of first inning. If he gets up with nobody on, just say you're not beating us today.
Yeah.
Because paint this picture in your head. You have nobody on. Freeman's batting with 2 outs in the first inning. Even if he hits a solo home run in the first inning, it deflates the entire crowd in game 5. It really does. The whole crowd will get out of it at that point. I don't like the idea of guys on base, you got to pitch to him, whatever. But if there's nobody on base, I don't hate the idea of putting him on base. I really don't. Don't let him beat you. I'd rather face Teoscar, who struggled all series. I really would.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth saying again, the pitching hasn't really been the problem. And they've held some of the scary guys down, like Teoscar, like Ohtani.
Ohtani's clearly hurt, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's very hurt. Like you could tell,
yes.
Even when he was sliding in second base, grabbing the jersey to his shoulder, doesn't maneuver. He's clearly very, very hurt.
Yeah, yeah. And if it wasn't the World Series, he'd be out for like 2 months.
Yeah, you could tell that. That's why. I mean, again, it should have been 1-0 after the first inning the other night. That home run should have been a solo home run because I don't know why Clark Schmidt wasn't challenging Ohtani with fastballs.
Right.
I don't know how you walked him on 4 pitches because he can't. The only balls he made contact with tonight were breaking balls. He can't catch up to the fastball because he can't turn that quickly.
Yeah. So Cole's going to have to. I mean, Cole will.
Cole's at bats again. Well, Cole would challenge Ohtani healthy. Ohtani hurt. Ohtani will absolutely be seeing fastballs up and in. Here you go, hit it. Here's 101 up and in, hit it. Go ahead. That's what. And Cole has the guts to do that. And Cole won't listen to whatever stupid nonsense Boone gives him. Cole has the guts to just. Here's 100 miles an hour down the middle. Turn on it. Go ahead. That's what he'll say. He does that when guys are healthy. So let's see Cole do it when guys are hurt.
I'm just looking for more. But I'm just I'm just glad that this wasn't a sad stream for once, for the first time.
We could be having one in a few days.
Sure, of course. But let's just be happy that these guys woke up. I mean, we could have one tomorrow. Who the hell knows? No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow, Mm-hmm. But right now we could just be happy that they didn't get swept because, as Brian said with that stat, it's usually the way. Because I was thinking about that too, going into this. I was like, yeah, a lot of times when teams are up 3-0 in the World Series, the other team is just like, even the Yankees in '99 against the Braves. I remember at the time, you don't because you were only 2, but I remember at the time,
1.
After the Yankees walked off in Game 3, thinking to myself, wow, they're really going to sweep these guys. Like, I really was like, wow, the Braves are dead here. This is crazy. And people don't give enough credit to that team in '99 just because 98's team was insane with all the games that they won, but the 99 team was a really good team and they don't get as much fanfare, and they should because they were really good in that playoff run. And yeah, it's just really, I was thinking about that earlier because I didn't know the stat, but I was thinking in my head about it. I was like, yeah, a lot of times in the World Series, if a team's up 3-0, you don't see the other team. They kind of just are like, all right, hey, we made it. And they don't really win that game. So good for the Yankees. They needed this blowout. They needed the bottom of the lineup to show up. They needed a Judge to get better. He looks better. Hopefully this is a precursor to something big in game 5. So you know what?
I saw that comment. I didn't even want to approach it. I didn't want to answer it.
I think getting swept is worse because it's not fun losing in game 7 because
game 7 would be so much worse. No, I can't.
I've experienced game 7s, losses and wins.
Not down 3-0. You haven't experienced it down 3-0.
Oh, well, no, but overall, being swept is worse than a game 7. And
oh no, I think he means what's worse, getting swept or if they come back and force a game 7 and then losing game 7.
I mean, it's
if they win 3 in a row to force game 7 and then lose game 7, that is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, but at least it's better than getting swept. And at least they put up a fight.
I don't know about that. I think I'd rather get swept and go out into the cold night.
No.
I don't think I'd want to. Ooh, that sounds like misery.
It's going to be misery for like 15 minutes and then you get over it because baseball isn't your whole life, or at least it shouldn't be your whole life, people. So a sweep would be worse. And
I disagree.
We don't have to worry about it because it's not a sweep. They're going to game 5. So again, one game at a time. That's all they have to do. One game at a time. And maybe they could pull off a miracle. You never know. Stranger things have happened, right?
Just have hope.
Yeah, light some candles, burn some sage around your houses, do some spells. Who knows? And maybe
you gotta believe. Someone says that in New York.
Oh no, don't do that. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this live stream. And thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Sully was texting me during the game to make sure that I was okay. So he has the World Series covered as well. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, just like we are. And also make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you after game 5.